So the next question, Lisa is going to help us with this one, is what tools, resources, et cetera, in the community have you used to grow your workforce?
So I have a question back to the audience. I want to know how many people in this room have heard of the North Carolina Community College Customized Training Program? Okay, actually a few more than I thought. But all of you guys should write this down. It doesn't matter if you do business in Pender, New Hanover, Columbus, Brunswick. I use them out in Charlotte at a plant out there. But the customized training program basically provides education, training, and support services for new, expanding, and existing business and industry in North Carolina counties. So no matter which county you live in, reach out to the local community college customized training program. Now, it's free money, yeah, but you have to actually run it like a project, and you'll have to apply for the money, and you can get as little as a couple $1,000 all the way up to, I've seen grants with my teams of $600,000 over a 3-year period. So they're paying for things like leadership training programs and on-the-job training. So if you've got like a 2-week on-the-job training program that you're doing anyway with your new employees, you can get 100% reimbursed through this program if they give you the grant. So it's really cool, but again, you have to spend the money, because if you don't spend the money, they're going to be more hesitant to give the money to industries like you're coming from. Secondly, I want to know, has anyone in the room, raise your hand if you've heard of North Carolina Industry Expansion Solutions? Okay, nobody. This is one person. Okay.
One in the back.
This is a sort of a lesser known, again, it's another resource that you guys should be aware of. It's a really good group of folks that are very easy to work with. Alex Easley is the district manager there, but basically they help get experts from industry, all different industries, from all over the country, come in umbrellaed by NC State. So you've got that nice brand name. Woohoo! Oh yeah, Wolfpack. And basically they come in areas of health and safety, environment and energy, lean and manufacturing and excellence. So you get discounted, subsidized, basically training programs. NCIES, North Carolina Industry Expansion Solutions. And again, that's umbrellaed under NC State. So 2 good programs to kind of think about. So that's kind of coming out of the question, like, how do you grow, develop your folks? If you're talking about growing the workforce, and I know these guys can talk a lot more about it, but as far as upsizing your organization, beyond employer referrals, I would definitely recommend to you guys to take a look at or consider, and for some folks it won't make sense, but to consider reaching back into the population that voluntarily terminated with you over the last several years. These are people who at one point believed in your organization and for whatever reason thought the grass was greener on the other side, and they may be in a personal situation where things have changed. And if you think about how much less time you'd have to spend on ramping these people up and training, a lot of companies right now, it's sort of an industry trend in HR, is to create sort of like on the cheap ambassador programs with previous employees. So you can kind of keep them up to date every once in a while, maybe it's twice a year, whatever. You have a little mixer with them if they're in the area, or you just send out emails about job openings, and that's a great kind of pool of previous employees to pull from. So,
yeah, that's a great idea. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Using the community resources that you have, I mean, the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, and right here I see the Wilmington Business Journal, 2 incredible resources of which to engage yourself. In fact, our first hire, Lindsay, was because of our involvement with Cape Fear Community College and with the Wilmington Business Journal. When we were looking to hire someone, Lindsay was referred to us. So our fairy godmother of Wilmington was attracted because of relationships that we had built in the community. And so I would encourage you to get your employees involved in the community, whether you are giving paid time off to do that, or just engaging them, whether it's boards or committees or whatnot, but getting them active in the community, because word of mouth is going to be where that talent is attracted, and people seeing you in the community and making a difference in the community. That's where most of the success comes for us. And engaging in your local UNCW, Cape Fear Community College, a lot of our talent attraction comes from engaging at that level first and getting people interested, whether it's through an internship or a part-time position, and that leading into something full-time later once they graduate.
We're actually digging a little bit deeper along those same lines with the institutions of higher learning, is that we're also working with our middle schools and high schools to begin that fraternity or sorority as you go along, engaging the youth towards healthcare, because that's what we're in. But it gives them a long-term track and connection to the organization. So that's something that we're excited about.
We have a few minutes before we move on to the next question. I just wanted to ask, because I realize none of our questions address the internship or apprenticeship kind of piece, which Natalie and I have talked a lot about at the Chamber, and really thinking about apprenticeship as a much bigger plan and a lot more, there's just a lot more involved than you sort of maybe traditionally think about. Lots of funding and opportunities for that. But who here is using interns? How do you use them? How do you get them? Any kind of words of advice for maybe a smaller business or somebody who hasn't had an intern yet? What's the first step?
Yeah, I don't mind to jump in. We definitely use interns. We love having interns on our team. We're very intentional about where we're going to place them. So this is not the run and get coffee kind of interns. This is, you're going to come in, you're going to do a lot of work and learn a lot and contribute a lot and hopefully walk away with some really valuable experience. The way that we source interns, if you will, building those relationships within the community. So on a regular basis, I'm going into UNCW's business school and speaking probably 6-7 classes a semester. We're going into the design classes to recruit designers, and we've probably got people going in 3-4 times a semester. So really it's just about raising awareness that we even exist, because I think a lot of people, when you hear Into Publishing, they're like, what's that? I don't know. And to have 275 employees in the area, it's kind of sad. So we're working really hard at that, and then trying to just give back to those universities, the colleges and universities, and then hopefully through those relationships able to get some really good talent. So does that answer kind of where you're headed with
That's very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? Kevin, do you guys use interns over at the hospital, and what does that kind of look like? I'm sure it's different in each discipline.
I was going to say it's very, very different depending on whether it's human resources or administration. But right now we're really focusing our efforts around apprenticeships and all of the clinical areas to give us more depth along the way.
That's great. Do you guys do any internships?
We have the great pleasure of managing some internship programs for companies, so we're very active there. We use interns internally as well, and that's interesting because you can bring, we're very purposeful, going back to that word again, and how that's being used, because we get calls all the time for bringing in interns, and it's more difficult for us to create a program for the intern than it is, we have a need, so let's bring that intern in for that need. So if it's a high school student coming in, there's a lot of programs where they need accounting experience, and there's always a need in that area so that we can get them involved in that area. But it's there's definitely a return for us as well with that. We use it a lot in our technical support team. We have used it on the recruiting and sourcing end as well, but it needs to make a difference for that person. So we spend a lot of time making sure they're going to get what they need out of that program as much as what we're getting out of them in it. Everything we do are paid internships as well.
I'm sure you get this a lot, everyone in the audience. Like if you've ever said anything about social media or technical stuff, what does everyone say? Just get an intern, right? Like that's always the answer. But I think that internships, in order to make it a win-win, there's so much thought needs to be put into it, and you need to make sure that your organization has the right spot for someone. And I think that's actually harder than it sounds, I would say, especially for the smaller businesses.
One other thing to that real quick, on whether it's interns or anyone in the company, the Wilmington Chamber, there's so many different resources, and making sure that you engage them in those as well. So if you have an intern, they need to get as engaged in the community as the team members as well. So bring them along to those events. But you have resources that the company has already paid for because you're a member of the chamber, and to get them engaged in those activities and just find something that connects to them. But I would encourage you to do that with the interns as well.
The only other thing that I have to add is it's nice to get seasonal help or whatever from interns, and you can create this great coordinated program for them. But it's also very nice from a metrics perspective to be able to show next year when you go back to the campuses how many interns you converted to full-time hires. So it's very, very good if you can consider that before you go out searching. You can say, hey, we have every intention to convert our three interns this summer into one full-time hire. So it's turns into a competitive thing, but the colleges and universities that you're working with will be more inclined to direct quality students your way if they know that they're going to have a chance at a full-time job.
That's a great tip.